The evolution of the Punisher from a street-level vigilante to a literal god of war is a saga that spans decades. It is a narrative of raw, unyielding vengeance, deep personal tragedy, and an ever-changing sense of justice. Frank Castle's journey is not only about the battles he has fought, but also about the evolution of his inner demons, his shifting motivations, and the cosmic forces that eventually co-opted his crusade into something larger than life. Frank Castle's story begins in The Amazing Spider-Man issue 129 in 1974. At first he was portrayed as a formidable but somewhat one-dimensional character, a pawn manipulated by the Jackal in a misguided attempt to take down Spider-Man. Yet beneath this facade of a hired killer lay the seeds of a much darker destiny. A decorated Marine with multiple tours of duty, Frank Castle was steeped in the values of honour, duty and sacrifice. These values were brutally shattered when a mob hit in Central Park claimed the lives of his wife and children. This cataclysmic event left Castle with nothing but a burning desire for retribution. Disillusioned by a corrupt justice system that failed him at his darkest hour, he cast aside his past and transformed his personal agony into an unending war against the criminal underbelly of society. His skull emblazoned on his armour became the grim sigil of that personal vendetta, symbolising both loss and the promise of punishment. Also, I have a video idea to go back and basically tally up every single Frank Castle kill ever, just to gather his official kill count across all of Marvel. Let me know if you'd like to see that video, because it would take quite a while, so I want to know if people want it. But enough of that dark shit, let's jump into this. From personal vendetta to cosmic justice. In the early days, Castle's motivations were raw and singular. However, as the years passed and his war against crime intensified, the scope of his mission began to evolve. The relentless pursuit of justice gradually transformed into an obsession with the concept of war itself. Frank came to view his actions not merely as a personal vendetta, but as a necessary countermeasure to a world overrun by corruption and moral decay. The system that had failed him was now emblematic of a broader injustice that needed to be eradicated. His identity as the Punisher began merging with the idea of eternal conflict, where the battle against evil was as endless as the cycle of violence itself. This philosophical shift laid the groundwork for his eventual cosmic transformation, as he embraced a destiny that transcended moral limitations. In the 80s, the Punisher exploded in popularity. With the rise of violent action films like The Terminator, Marvel tapped into this cultural moment with the Punisher War Journal. This series not only chronicled his war on organised crime, but also deepened his philosophical profile. In this era, Castle's enemies became reflections of the societal decay he sought to purge. Organised crime, human traffickers, drug cartels, and corrupt politicians. His methods were methodical and brutal. Castle dismantled criminal empires rather than just eliminating individual foes, earning him a reputation that instilled fear throughout the underworld. His interactions with other heroes further defined his character, like Daredevil, Wolverine, and even Spider-Man. Each saw in him a mirror reflecting the extreme measures taken in the face of pervasive injustice. The 90s introduced a paradigm shift in the Punisher's mythos. In The Punisher Purgatory in 1998, Castle experienced a death and subsequent resurrection as an avenging angel armed with holy weapons. That felt sick to say. This supernatural rebirth, while controversial among fans, hinted at the cosmic forces that would soon intertwine with his crusade. The transformation raised questions about free will and destiny. Was Castle's relentless war his own? Or was he being used as a pawn by higher, mysterious powers? And later down the line, this all comes to a head, and we find out what's really behind Castle. In the Punisher Max series, Garth Ennis brought Frank Castle back to his gritty, grounded origins. In this iteration, the supernatural was stripped away in favour for a hyper-realistic portrayal of a man who had embraced a never-ending war against crime. An older, battle-scarred Castle confronted the darkest facets of human depravity, from war criminals and human traffickers to monstrous figures that lurked in society's shadows. Here, his motivations were crystallised. No longer was his crusade solely about personal loss. It had evolved into a doctrine of eternal retribution against a corrupt and indifferent world. His war, relentless and brutal, was seen as a necessary evil in a landscape devoid of traditional justice. I feel pumped just talking about this man right now. It really gets me going. Then, in Thanos Wins in 2017, Castle's narrative took a cosmic turn. After yet another fatal encounter, Frank Castle made a deal with the devil, Mephisto, and became the Ghost Rider, an embodiment of hellfire and vengeance itself. His transformation didn't stop there. He was soon recruited by Galactus and transformed into his herald, endowed with the power cosmic, becoming the Cosmic Ghost Rider. This new phase expanded his battlefield to the very fabric of time and space, allowing him to hunt villains across different eras and dimensions. In this cosmic form, his mission transcended earthly boundaries. Despite wielding near limitless power, Castle remained true to his core conviction that absolute punishment was the only answer to the eternal cycle of crime and corruption. His motivations, now intertwined with cosmic duty, reflected a being who had absorbed the pain of his past and projected it onto the universe itself. Long before his clash with Ares, Frank Castle had already become a pawn in a much darker game. The Hand, the ancient order of mystical assassins, had been watching him for years, since childhood in fact. Unbeknownst to him, they believed he was destined for something far greater than mere vengeance. As a child, Castle exhibited violent tendencies, a brutal survivor's instinct that set him apart from others. The Hand saw the makings of their prophesied leader, the Fist of the Beast, a perfect vessel for their true demonic master. His life, defined by war and slaughter, only cemented their belief. Every act of vengeance, every body left in his wake, brought him closer to their grasp. When they finally revealed themselves, they offered him what he had always craved, an endless war against evil. Castle, consumed by his need for purpose, initially accepted. With the power of the beast coursing through him, he became something far beyond a mere vigilante. He cut through entire armies of criminals and warriors alike, his brutality reaching supernatural heights. But even as the Hand celebrated their new champion, Castle began to feel the weight of his power. The raw fury that once felt righteous now seemed guided by an unseen force, one that demanded blood for the sake of blood. The moment of reckoning came when he was ordered to execute a child, a young member of his terrorist group. For the first time since embracing the beast's power, he hesitated, and that refusal shattered the illusion. He was not a mindless tool of destruction, not a demon's plaything. He turned against the Hand, rejecting their control and severing his ties with the beast's influence forever. Even the gods could not ignore Castle's relentless crusade, and when Ares, the Olympian god of war, fell in battle, there was only one warrior ruthless enough to inherit his mantle: Frank Castle. Ascending as the god of war, Castle's transformation was both physical and ideological. No longer was his mission confined to punishing earthly criminals. He now presided over conflict itself. His skull emblem, once a mark of personal vengeance, now blazed with divine fury. This ascension symbolized a complete metamorphosis. Frank was no longer just a man. He had become the living embodiment of war, a deity whose very presence dictated the rules of conflict across cosmic realms. Frank Castle's journey, from a grieving ex-marine to literal god of war, is one of the most extraordinary transformations in comic book history. His evolution is not only just a series of disconnected events, but a continuous, interwoven narrative where personal tragedy, relentless vengeance, and cosmic destiny converge. Whether patrolling the dark alleys of New York, travelling through time as the Cosmic Ghost Rider, or shaping celestial battlefields as the God of War, Castle remains an unyielding force, a symbol that when pushed to the brink, humanity can transcend its limitations and embody something far greater than mortal revenge. As long as injustice persists, the Punisher will endure. His eternal war is a testament to the idea that true retribution, forged in the crucible of personal loss and tempered by the fires of relentless conflict, has the power to elevate a single man into an unstoppable, divine force. Well everyone, I really hope you liked that intense storytelling of Frank Castle's ascension to God of War. Frank Castle's one of my favourite characters, so I really do hope you enjoyed. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace.